This is a Fox News alert. Just moments ago, the Office of the Special Counsel, Robert Mueller, denied a report that ran last night in Buzzfeed. That story said that President Trump had ordered Michael Cohen to lie to Congress. The story set off a full day of speculation in Washington for members of Congress and the media that impeachment and indictment might be imminent. Now, to repeat, the special counsel is denying the substance of that story. Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. This is moving very fast, a remarkable day. Trace Gallagher has more on what is happening. Trace?
And this really is the bombshell, Tucker, because breaking right now, as you said, Robert Mueller, special counsel, a spokesperson, has knocked down this Buzzfeed report, quoting now Buzzfeed's description of specific statements to the special counsel's office and characterization of documents and testimony obtained by this office regarding Michael Cohen's congressional testimony are not accurate. That is critical because, remember, the Buzzfeed report laid this at the door of the special counsel, saying, quoting again, the special counsel's office learned about Trump's directive for Cohen to lie to Congress through interviews with multiple witnesses from the Trump organization and internal company emails, text messages, and a cache of other documents. But one of the reporters who wrote the piece admitted he never saw the alleged damning documents, but he still maintained that his reporting was rock solid. Listen to him.
I am rock solid. My sourcing on this goes beyond the two that are on the record. This 100% happened.
Yeah, 100%, except President Trump says it 100% didn't happen, tweeting, quote, lying to reduce jail time, clearly referencing Michael Cohen's 3-year prison sentence. White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley added this comment. Watch.
This is absolutely ludicrous that we are giving any type of credence or credibility to a news outlet like Buzzfeed.
And he's right. Buzzfeed does have credibility issues, including multiple accusations of plagiarizing and stealing original content. A Pew Research survey also found the publication to be unreliable. And, of course, Buzzfeed published the uncorroborated and salacious Steele dossier, which was labeled an unverified smear of President Trump. Even Democrats eager to impeach the president had to qualify their comments today, saying if the information is true. Watch.
We don't know whether the new report about Cohen being told to lie by the president is true or not. We'll have to ask Mr. Cohen that.
Yeah, Cohen is supposed to go back before Congress next month, but his legal advisor, Lanny Davis, says he might be having second thoughts about that. Remember, 24 hours after Buzzfeed broke this story, nobody matched the reporting, and now we know it's because it wasn't true. Tucker.
Just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. If you've been by a television today, you have seen a level of frothy hysteria that really I've never seen in 25 years of watching. Trace Gallagher, thank you very much. Andrew McCarthy is a contributing editor at National Review. He's the former chief assistant U.S. attorney in New York, and he joins us tonight. Andrew McCarthy, this is not, I think most of us were at least taking seriously the possibility that this story was rooted in fact. Now the special counsel's office, which has commented on virtually nothing for the past 2 years, is knocking it down. What is your reaction to this?
Well, I think the most important thing, Tucker, is the money paragraph of the Buzzfeed story is the one that Trace Gallagher homed in on. And the reason that's important is because what the Trump response to this, if there were any credibility to it, would want to be is that you can't believe anything that Cohen says because he's a pervasive serial liar. But the way this story was teed up, it was that Mueller had developed independent information
right.
And corroborated it, pieced it together himself, and then he confronted Cohen on it. It's not a thing where, Cohen is peddling this information. So that, if I were the White House, that would have been the part that would have alarmed me the most, and that's the part that it appears that Mueller has blown up. I think the big hesitation that those of us who watched this sort of thing and did this sort of work, prosecutor work for a living, also couldn't get our brains wrapped around is that what a prosecutor would normally do if he thought that there was a conspiracy between Trump and Cohen to lie to Congress is you would have Cohen plead guilty to conspiracy to obstruct a congressional investigation and then have him in court when the judge asks, what did you do that makes you guilty? Say, I was involved in this conspiracy with the president. He told me to lie to Congress, and I went on ahead and did it.
Exactly.
You didn't see anything like that in the charges against Cohen.
So where could this story have come from, do you think? I mean, by my reading of it, and it was parts of it were unclear by design, but it left the impression that this was an allegation directly from the office of the special counsel.
Yeah.
What do you make?
Yeah,
I mean, where do you think this information came from?
Yeah, the word that stuck out to me, Tucker, when I read this was the word "and." Oddly enough, they say at the beginning of the story that the two sources are connected to an investigation of Cohen, which made it elusive whether they were talking about the investigation of Cohen, meaning the special counsel's investigation. So you don't know coming away from this, are these a couple of guys who, you know, are in the loop enough to get briefed on law enforcement investigations, but are not in the core of Mueller's team? It's very hard to make a judgment about that. But I can only tell you from, you know, I was fortunate enough as a prosecutor to work on a couple of cases that were pretty high-profile cases. And if you asked the number of people who now would say to you that they worked on those cases and were the case agent on the case, there's probably more people who would say it than were, you know, than saw Bobby Thompson's home run. You know, so there's an awful lot of people who say they have lots of information. Yeah.
Right. It's like there were 15 million people who claimed to have been at Woodstock. Why would the special counsel's office weigh in on this tonight in the way that it did?
I'm really pleased that they did. I think that probably this is the sort of thing that could really compromise the president's ability to govern. I think a lot of us who have been troubled by this investigation from the beginning think that there's been too much deference to investigative secrecy and not enough acknowledgement that when you have a special counsel investigation, it really makes it very difficult for the president to govern the country.